Hello friends, episode 17. Wow, we're at 17 already. So this episode we are still going completely goblin. You've probably noticed in the previous episode that my gold production in the factory is very slow, extremely slow. So this episode we are starting off by building a very big gold farm on the nether roof. So yes, let's take a look at the gold farm and then some more progress on the factory. Enjoy! So yes, gold production is a little bit slow in my factory. So I did some research and I found the El Mango gold farm, which is very efficient apparently. Haven't really tried it. I built it in Creative and made a couple of small changes to it and arrived at this design. The biggest problem with this design is it's going to take me a long time to gather all the resources for it. And I'm really hoping this is enough storage for the resources. I want to be in nether wastes, not in... So let's go to this side. I want to overwrite my... There. That should be the position for it. You'll see I made some changes. I put compacting drawers and things in. It is way up there. Just want to make sure it's not going to destroy my cannon or my waystone. No, it won't. So let's take a look at what it looks like. It really is way up there. Magma circles, the orange glass above is just to stop ghasts. And this is the killing area. Something I did, the schematic that I found, no items at all going into this little dropper loop here. Because of, yeah, below this rail was a solid block. So I replaced that solid block with chutes, and then there's a hopper going into the dropper, although I suppose I could use a chute to go into the dropper too. I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter because it doesn't have to go very fast. The dropper drops the stuff into the cobwebs, which lines them up perfectly to fall into a hopper sitting right there, which is not displaying in the schematic. So, now the problem. Let's go over here. We go into the schematic cannon, we take the schematic and we stick it in there. Then we take the materials checklist. And 40 chests for cobwebs, that's not a problem, that's not a problem, that's not a problem. That's 56 grindstones, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. 24 hoppers, yeah, item pipes, ladders. 5,696. 89 stacks of magma blocks. Pretty sure that obsidian is not supposed to be there. So I will tell it to ignore. Orange carpets, 37, almost 38 stacks of orange stained glass. 109 scaffolding. So yes, a lot of materials together. Wow. Good. Although the only part that was really difficult was the magma blocks. I didn't even have enough blaze rods, so I had to go and spend some time in the blaze farm. Now we have everything. There, and there. We didn't even need all 4 of the chests. So just taking a look at my settings, because see, I'm still missing that obsidian block, because I'm really sure that obsidian block is just one that I placed down when I was making the schematic. So in my settings I've got skip missing blocks turned on. Here's my gunpowder. I'm just taking a look at my clock quickly because I want to see how long it takes to build this thing. There it goes. You see the progress bar is not even starting to move. It's done. It took an hour and 25 minutes to build this thing. I just have to fix a couple of things because I changed the design at the bottom. Little carpets have to go up there. Now the specific farm, I'm going to actually run this farm properly. But I do know the mechanism that it works with, and it is zombie piglin anger. Which means obviously I cannot do this with invulnerability on. But I am going to keep my fly on for a very good reason, which I will show as soon as we manage to get to the top. This is going to take a while. Well, we're almost there. So this is the mechanical governance. And then up here, what we've got, the reason I'm keeping fly on is that. And that. Because I don't want to fall down there. I'm not entirely sure why this is open like this, so I'm not going to change it. But I have to switch invulnerability off, because the idea is you go up here and you ping a zombie fight piglin with an arrow. And then they all get mad at you and they try to rush at you. And they get stuck back there. And then you hit them with a sword. So. Switch my invulnerability off. Get my bow. You can actually hit them through here too. Now they're all very cross with me. And they're all trying to come and kill me. And then you smack them. And so long as you're hearing those ticks, means that at least some of the drops are getting down, making it down to the... Because the drops go in there. I have flight on so I can drop down. And of gold coming in here. There are other drops as well, obviously. So, some redesigning done. Firstly, I put obsidian back here so that I stop breaking the glass, because, yeah. What I've done is I've got those 3 chutes going into this chute. No. Which means I'm not losing stuff on the edges anymore. Because this is not a hopper anymore, I couldn't use comparators on there, and the comparator scheme for detecting if something is going through a hopper is not always great. So I just use redstone links on the back of these droppers, and I have a redstone clock here, an observer clock, which I just switch on when I get up here, and it's transmitting redstone pulses to the droppers. Fairly straightforward, nothing's changed. The place where things have changed significantly is down here. Firstly, I've gone a bit crazy with the item pipes. Everything is connected by item pipe. All the chests are connected by item pipe. I've only got the one compacting drawer now, and that's attracting gold ingots and gold nuggets. I then have an attractor, well, I have a chest full of coal here, and coal and charcoal gets pulled into the back of this blast furnace, and into this barrel up here I pull blacklist, sorry. So anything that is not rotten flesh, gold ingot, gold nugget, block of gold, coal, all of these things, anything that's not that, which essentially in this farm means all the golden swords get pulled into this barrel, and then they go into the blast furnace and they get turned into gold nuggets, which go there. Over here I've got a little fire down there. Flesh, zombified piglin's head, and obsidian skulls get dropped in here, because I've got enough obsidian skulls now, thank you very much. And they get destroyed. So this is how I process the stuff that falls down from the top and ends up in here. I also put together a little teeny tiny piglin bartering farm. Yes, oink oink. This one uses the comparator measuring a hopper thing. So when the piglin drops something that goes through the hopper, the comparator sends a pulse to the dropper to drop the next gold ingot. I just shove some gold ingots in there, and the drops from my bartering end up in there. Sometimes, depending on what they drop, like for instance if they drop iron ingots and then iron ingots again, this thing won't trigger soon enough. It won't detect the change soon enough, and then the whole thing stops. So I just have this lever that I just flick, I just toggle on off to get the next drop going. Let's grab some gold. Okay, we only have the 12 gold nuggets or gold ingots at the moment because everything is in the factory. But anyway, we drop the gold ingots in there. Over here I've got it in round robin mode, so it's one at a time, so it's distributing it evenly between the droppers. Doesn't take a loading time to distribute. There we go. So now there's gold up there, 6 and 6. On off, on off. It drops a gold ingot on their heads, they trade it for something. Most of the time, as soon as they trade, the next gold will be dropped. Sometimes not, but yeah. That's why I just keep an eye on it. And there's my stuff. So that's the gold farm done. We've made a fair bit of progress in the factory as well, so oh, no, why it's so bright. Hey, oh, that looks better. We've made a fair bit of progress in the factory as well, so let's head over there. So, the 7th floor. We built quite a bit last time. So I've continued the same principles. So these are all my requesters. Continue the same principle. And the slowness here is why I built the gold farm. Now it's full. And I've got 1,024 blocks of gold. But I've continued it on a little bit further. I'm making scoria. I'm making umber bricks. And I'm making blocks of quartz. I've also built this walled off area. The reason it's walled off is because it's dangerous. It contains mechanical saws. Mechanical saws can hurt quite badly. So the idea here is I've got these small input vaults that'll request different items: cobblestone, stone, smooth stone, bricks, umber bricks, and blocks of quartz. And then I have an output from these, and for each of the items that can be made with a mechanical saw from whatever is pulled in here, I have a module like this. So it's a tunnel that splits it evenly. The one side goes to the mechanical saw with a recipe filter, and then goes into that vault. The other half goes on to the next module. Again, tunnel, saw, other half to the next module. Tunnel, saw, other half stops here. So it's not going to keep requesting cobblestone forever. When it gets here, it's going to stop. Unless I take something out of one of these vaults, in which case it will actually, with this design, keep pulling stuff out of that vault until this is full again. So, cobblestone, we get cobblestone slabs, cobblestone stairs, and cobblestone walls. Stone, we get stone slabs, stone stairs, stone brick slabs, stone brick stairs, and stone brick walls. Smooth stone, you can only get one thing: smooth stone slabs. Bricks, we get brick walls, brick stairs, brick slabs. There's a lot more you can do with bricks, but I didn't want this thing to extend for miles and miles that way. Umber bricks as well. There's a lot of stuff you can get, but it's basically long umber bricks, umber brick slabs, stairs, walls. Quartz, you can get quartz blocks, well, chiseled quartz blocks, quartz bricks, quartz pillars, slabs, stairs. Jump. Oh, I don't want to jump into the mechanical saw. And then the last one here is for custom stuff. So it's literally just, I put the filter into this filter, I put what I want to make. And then into this barrel I put the raw materials for that. The mechanical saw does that. So that's my dangerous area, because it's got a lot of saws on the ground that you could walk into. It's got a sign on it. Let me just do something about that thunderstorm. new thing, the main big new thing that I've built is a bunch of workstations on this side. So the first four are essentially the same design, with just a different effect for each one. So the basic idea is I've got a clutch here. If I switch that lever off, the thing starts running. This is the input box. So for instance, if I want to wash sand, I can put sand in this box and start the machine. The input box goes into this tunnel, which splits it evenly between those 5 stations. And I've got 5 fans at the top there blowing down. Stuff gets washed. Once that filter detects that it's not a washable thing anymore, it comes out this side. So I don't really need these to be tunnels, but it was a convenient way to keep track of what I'm doing. So it comes out and it ends up in here. I've got a washing station. I've got a haunting station for doing things like sand to soul sand. I've got a bulk blasting station to blast stuff, to cook stuff. And why is it running? Switch it off. Bulk blasting station and a bulk smoking station for cooking food. So those are the first 4. They all do essentially the same thing. This is a mixer. It can take 3 inputs. So there's an input box there, there's an input box there, and there's an input box there. So it can take up to 3 inputs and mix them, and then they come out into this output box. Like my decorations, by the way. Anyway, I'm trying to be a better builder. This is a fairly straightforward pressing station for the mechanical press. Stuff I want to press, like iron ingots, I'll put in there. They come through here and they get pressed and they end up in that box. And the on-off switch is over here. Next one is a packing station. This one's got a little bit different. I mean, it's the same basic idea as the others. I've got a tunnel that splits the stuff 5 ways. And then I've got 5 packers here. A basin and a mechanic press makes a packer. It's got a difference on the back. Yeah. So there's the input box. But then I've got this fancy setup here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks. And 1, 2, 3, 4 chutes. So this tank falls into this chute, this tank falls into this chute, which goes through there. That goes into that chute through there. That tank goes into that chute, which goes into this tank, which then in turn. The reason for this is for sandstone. It takes 4 sand to make 1 sandstone. So there's a lot of back and forth getting more sand if you want to make an entire tank full of sandstone. So I've got these 4 tanks, so I just pull these out and I fill them all with sand, and then I put them in here. And that gives me enough sand for 1 tank full of sandstone. So this is a generic crusher. The stuff I want to crush goes in there. Switch it on and the crushing wheels run, and the final result goes in here. So that gold farm I built, because washing soul sand is extremely slow. I built the gold farm, remember? But there's a better way. So let's look at the recipe for gold nuggets. If we look at the washing, so there's obviously crushed raw gold you can wash, that's mined gold. Soul sand, you get 12% chance of 4 nether quartz and a 2% chance of 1 gold nugget. That's terrible. Red sand, you get a 12% chance of 3 gold nuggets. So if we take 2 soul sand out of here, get it out of the way, and put the soul sand there, and we take 2 stacks of clay blocks. What we can do is we can go to our bulk blasting station. Put the clay blocks on there and switch it on. And then we come stand here and we should see terracotta come through. Terracotta, there we go. 50, 64, and the next batch, because obviously the machine processes in batches of 64, is 128. Let's switch that machine off. Now I've got 128 terracotta. I go to my crusher. I put my 128 terracotta in there and switch the crusher on. And what we get out of that is 128 red sand. Switch the crusher on because that is very dangerous. Now I've got 128 red sand. So, by way of illustration, we go to the washing station. We put the soul sand in and switch it on. And we can watch it from here and see when the stuff gets washed. There we go, that's some of it processed. And that is all of it. Switch it off. There we go, yeah. We've got just over a stack of nether quartz and 2 gold nuggets from 128 sand. We go here and we put the red sand in and run it. We just wait for those last 2 bits to be finished. And that is everything washed. Switch it off. We come back here. 52 gold nuggets. So from 128 sand, which still has to be haunted, so 128 soul sand, 2 gold nuggets. From 128 red sand, 52 gold nuggets. I should have made a terracotta maker and a terracotta crusher and a red stand washer in my main production line. But yes, I'm sort of run out of space over there, so I need to think about the logistics. How am I going to move that? I mean, in theory, I could run some machines along this side. Yeah, I could bring another belt down here. But then that's going to stop my stuff going in there. Or I could bring a belt along here. But it's going to be complicated. I may do something with tunnels where I can just split off certain items. I don't know. I need to think about that. This end of the main bus at the moment, there are three things here. Firstly, there's this, so remember the sand for sandstone? This is where I fill those tanks with sand. This switch just, if the switch is off, then whatever this threshold switch says applies there. If this lever is on, then no signal goes through there. This is just a temporary pickup for stuff. When these chunks are loaded, when these chunks get loaded, if they were unloaded, then a bunch of the stuff, a bunch of the requesters will, for a short time, get triggered. And a whole bunch of stuff comes along the belt that can't go anywhere. I'm just picking it up there as a temporary measure. Because in reality what should happen is it should go in there, and it goes into that chute, and the chute throws it into the hot source. But yes, current progress on the factory. Getting there.